Today's video is a little bit different, and the reason I'm actually making this video is since my first video of the Wave XLR versus the GoXLR, a lot of things have been added to the Wave XLR, sort of changing the dynamics of which one you should actually go out and buy. And then secondly is I've recently made the switch from the GoXLR to the Wave XLR, and since making this switch, a lot of you have been asking me why I actually made the switch. So let's jump into all of that and see why I made the switch and which one is best for you. Let's get into it. So before we actually jump into this entire video, just a little disclaimer. I'm not saying the Wave XLR is better than the GoXLR and vice versa. What it boils down to really is which one works best for your setup, and then secondly, what your budget is. Which, by the way, I will be leaving some suggestions at the end of this video, mainly because it's not what this video is about, but if you need that, it will be at the end. So to start off, let me give you some background. Back when I bought the GoXLR, it was still a fairly new product, and it was sort of the only one of its kind if you wanted an audio device that you can connect an XLR cable to and split all of your audio sources and control them independently. Now, right after I bought the GoXLR Mini actually launched, which in all honesty would have probably been a better device for me and my setup, since I only used the voice changer and sampler a few times while I was live on stream, and the rest of the times they just kind of sat there dormant, meaning that the GoXLR Mini would have probably been best since I mainly just used the faders and I didn't even use those all that often. Secondly is the fact that the GoXLR actually takes up a big chunk of your setup, and for me, I really do like minimal setups, so having a big chunk of device sitting on your desk really makes it hard for me to justify, especially if there's other devices on the market that can do the same thing in essence, but have a smaller footprint. But of course, the GoXLR still had features that I really liked, especially the VSTs that you can add on the mic, which then gets processed on the mic before it gets sent anywhere else, meaning that if you want to use it in Discord calls, in games, all of your VSTs are applied before it actually gets sent out to all of those, meaning that you always get the best audio quality no matter where your audio goes. Now, back in the day when the Wave XLR released, and back when I actually made my first video, it didn't actually have those VST features, and even though you could add them in OBS to actually have them for your stream, you couldn't add them on the Wave XLR itself, meaning that everywhere that you sent your mic audio where you couldn't add VSTs, you wouldn't have any. But they've actually added the ability to add VSTs now, and not only can you add VSTs to your mic, but you can literally add them to any source that you want on the Wave XLR. And that was probably one of the biggest reasons why I decided to switch to the Wave XLR. Now for me, I don't really like changing audio all that much and messing with the faders too much. So for the last week or so that I've been using the Wave XLR, I haven't really missed the faders all that much. But if you are a live streamer, you probably know that almost every game's audio differs by a lot. And that really makes it hard to have a constant volume on all of your games, especially if you play different games, or even if you've just played Call of Duty Warzone, which changes from like 100 to 1,000 just from dropping in. It can be hard to not have these faders or these controls, at least to not blow all of your viewers' ears out. Now with the Wave XLR in its current state, you can actually add a compressor to all of your audio sources, meaning you can add them to your game, your system, and your music, so that if audio sources get too loud, the compressor can actually pull it down a bit, and if it's too soft, it can actually push it up a bit, meaning that you'll have a more balanced audio experience for your viewers and for yourself, meaning that you'll never have to worry about a game going too loud or too soft and having to dial all of those in, making it once again a good reason not to have all of those faders, and making it really good for me since I really don't like messing with audio too much while I'm live. The second reason why I left is I hardly used all of the features. Like I said before, I only used the voice changers every now and then. I only used a few samples every now and then, and I only touched about 2 faders while I was live. And in general setups, I literally used 1 fader, and that was the volume fader of the system, and that was it. Now with the Wave XLR, I can still control the gain of my mic, I can still control the volume of my setup, all of that by using the same volume knob, and just by pressing and dialing through those settings, I can still do that easily enough. And the mute is really easy on this device since you literally just rest your hand on top and it mutes the mic, meaning I never have to worry too much about having all of those controls, as I can still do all of that and it's still really easy on this device. Another great thing is if you have a Stream Deck like I do, I can literally add different audio levels and different audio sources on that to control the Wave XLR as well, meaning that it is a little bit more intuitive in that way as well. If I need more controls, I can simply add mutes and everything to that. And if I need to mute my game, my system, my music, or myself, I can literally just press a button on the Stream Deck and it will actually do that for me. Plus, the Wave XLR is about 15% the size of the GoXLR, meaning it takes up a much smaller footprint on my desk. And if you place the Stream Deck and the Wave XLR next to each other, they kind of sort of match together, which also looks really good, meaning that I don't just have a Stream Deck on my table anymore with a GoXLR. Now I have sort of these two items that kind of fit together and work really nicely on this setup. And thirdly, as mentioned before, is the ability to actually use the Stream Deck with the Wave XLR to not only mute audio sources and unmute them and change the volumes of them, but also have the ability to add voice changers and sample clips, meaning that at the end of the day, with a Stream Deck and a Wave XLR, you have all of the features of the GoXLR itself. Now, of course, what this means is if I want to have some voice changing effects, or if I want to play some audio clips, I can still do that and still pass them through their own little audio source, which I can then once again control its own volume of for myself and my stream, and not lose any of the features and have all of them at the press of a button, just like you should press the like and subscribe on this video if you've enjoyed it. And of course, if you like anything tech related or gaming related, then this is the place for you. And then while you're down there, tell me down in the comment section below, which one do you prefer? Is it the Wave XLR, the GoXLR, or is it player number 3, the Beacn? So for me and my needs, the Wave XLR just works really well. And where I think the GoXLR really shines is especially in dual PC setups, as it just makes it easier to connect two PCs and all of their audio sources. If you want to have different voice changers and all of that, it just works really well with dual PC setups, since you have all of those features and all of those connections on this one device itself, and you don't have to rely on software on either of the PCs to actually make all of the audio work. Now, of course, Beacn has also recently stepped into the game, and even though they do allow you to actually add different PCs and different audio sources and split all of those up, number one, they are a bit expensive, and number two, you still need an audio interface to actually connect an XLR mic to if you want to have an XLR mic actually connected and be controlled by the Beacn software itself, which in my opinion does make it a much more of a higher end build or a much more expensive setup at the end of the day. So if you're looking for a really decent entry-level setup, I would suggest grabbing a Rode Podmic, a Wave XLR, a decent boom arm like a Rode PSI-1, PSI-1 Plus, or the Blue Compass, and that entire setup should be around $300. And with that setup, you will get great professional audio quality for any setup that you really want to use it for, and all of that should last you at least for a couple of years to come. Now, if you don't need all of the features of the GoXLR, but you still want an easier dual PC setup, I would still suggest getting a GoXLR Mini then, and still pairing that with a Rode Podmic. Now, if you want to go for the Beacn route, I would suggest still grabbing a Rode Podmic and then potentially pairing that with the Rode AI-1, since it is a fairly inexpensive audio interface and it is really a plug and play unit. And with that, then you can pair it with those, and then you can grab either the Beacn Mix or the Beacn Mix Create, depending on your needs. But of course, if you want to use the Beacn mixers with a USB mic, you're more than happy to use that as well. And then you don't have to actually go out and buy an audio interface with your XLR mic, and then you just go out and buy a USB mic and use the Beacn Mix or Mix Create, and then just kind of combine it with that, which also they have their own mic, which once again is a little bit more on the pricey end, but then at least you know you have their mic with their interface and everything is sort of beaconed out and you have all of it. And then lastly, if you want the big boy, go ahead and grab yourself a GoXLR. It is a really good audio interface for both single and dual PC setups, and if it fits your budget or your needs, then buy it at the end of the day and start making content. And at the end of the day, I'm not here to force any of you to buy any of these products or use any of these products. I'm just here to give you an objective view on what these do, how they work best, and at the end of the day, it comes down to you needing to decide which one works best for your setup, for your needs, and for your budget. Now, if you want a breakdown of the Wave XLR and the GoXLR Mini, I've left the video to that down in the description below, as well as in the cards. If you want to, of course, buy any of these products, I've left links to those down in the description below as well. And some of those links are affiliate links, so if you make purchases using those links, it does support the channel, and I really do appreciate all of that. Once again, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe. It really does help the channel out a lot. And if you like tech reviews and game reviews, then this is the place for you. And then, as always, until next time, cheers.